In a busy neighborhood of Boston, Emma Chen owned a small bakery that was barely staying afloat. On a cold winter night when most people were warm in their beds, Emma chose to help a hungry teenager who hadn't eaten in days. She gave up her own rest to share food and teach him to bake. This simple act of kindness led to an incredible journey that would transform both their lives forever. Hi everyone, welcome to Story Message. Today, I'm excited to share a heartwarming story with you. But first, let me ask, what's your favorite type of story to relax to? Let me know in the comments. Emma wiped flour from her cheeks as she looked at her bakery's monthly accounts. The numbers weren't good. Bills kept piling up, and customers were becoming rare in her neighborhood. The December wind whistled through the old building's windows as she sat alone in her tiny office. Her phone buzzed. It was her mother. "Emma, you're working too late again. It's almost midnight. You need to rest," she said, worry clear in her voice. Emma sighed, looking at the clock. "Just finishing up, Mom. I'll head home soon," she replied. The weight of running the bakery alone pressed heavily on her shoulders. 3 years ago, she had inherited the place from her mentor, old Mr. Sullivan, who had taught her everything she knew about baking. He had believed in her when no one else would give a chance to a young woman with big dreams but little experience. That night, as Emma was cleaning the kitchen, she heard a soft knock on the bakery's back door. Through the window, she saw a teenage boy, shivering in a thin jacket. Her first instinct was caution. It was midnight after all, but something in his eyes made her pause. She opened the door slightly. "We're closed," she said gently. The boy, who couldn't have been more than 16, spoke quietly. "I know. I'm sorry. His voice cracked. "I haven't eaten in 2 days. I smelled the bread and..." He looked down at his feet, embarrassed. Emma remembered the lessons Mr. Sullivan had taught her about compassion being as important as any recipe. She invited the boy in, watching as he marveled at the warmth of the kitchen and the lingering scent of fresh-baked bread. The boy, who introduced himself as Marcus, sat at the prep table while Emma warmed up some soup and bread. "I ran away," he admitted between hungry bites. "My foster family. They didn't understand me. I love to cook, to create things. They said it was a waste of time." The story tumbled out between spoonfuls of soup. Marcus had bounced between foster homes since age 10, carrying with him only memories of his grandmother's kitchen and her lessons about the magic of baking. His current foster family saw cooking as frivolous. They wanted him to focus on practical subjects instead. As Marcus ate, Emma noticed how his eyes kept darting to the kitchen equipment. "Want to learn how to make bread?" she asked impulsively. His face lit up for the first time. "Really? You'd teach me?" For the next few hours, Emma showed Marcus how to knead dough. To her surprise, he was a natural. His hands moved with an instinctive grace, and he asked intelligent questions about techniques and ingredients. The way he handled the dough reminded her of herself at his age, eager to learn every secret the kitchen held. "My grandmother taught me to cook before she passed away," he said, carefully folding the dough. "She worked as a pastry chef in New York. At her funeral, I promised I'd become a chef too, but nobody believed in me after she was gone." Emma watched as Marcus created his first loaf of bread. His technique was rough but showed remarkable potential. The joy in his eyes as he shaped the dough reminded her of why she'd fallen in love with baking in the first place. As the bread baked, filling the kitchen with its warm aroma, Emma made a decision that would change both their lives. "I need help in the bakery," she said. "If you're willing to work hard and let me contact social services to help you properly, I'll teach you everything I know." Marcus stared at her, tears forming in his eyes. "Why would you help me?" "Because someone once helped me," Emma replied, remembering Mr. Sullivan's kindness. "And because talent like yours shouldn't go to waste." The following days were filled with paperwork and meetings. Emma contacted her friend Sarah at Social Services, who moved quickly to help Marcus. Sarah discovered that his previous foster placements had never truly understood his passion for cooking, treating it as a distraction rather than a calling. Through Sarah's efforts, Marcus was placed with the Johnsons, a warm couple who lived just 3 blocks from the bakery. Tom Johnson was a high school teacher, and his wife Maria ran a small catering business from home. They immediately recognized Marcus's potential and supported his dreams. Every day after school, Marcus would rush to the bakery, eager to learn new techniques. Emma started him with the basics, measuring ingredients, understanding temperature control, mastering the art of timing. She noticed that he had an extraordinary eye for detail, especially when it came to decoration. One afternoon, while experimenting with fondant, Marcus created a sugar rose so realistic that a customer tried to smell it. Emma realized she had discovered not just an apprentice, but an artist. She began teaching him the advanced techniques Mr. Sullivan had passed down to her, watching as Marcus absorbed every lesson with increasing confidence. The bakery started attracting attention. Marcus's decorative touches added something special to Emma's traditional recipes. Local food bloggers began writing about the innovative designs coming from the small neighborhood bakery. Orders increased, especially for special occasions. On a busy Saturday morning, a well-dressed woman walked into the bakery, drawn by a wedding cake display in the window. The cake featured cascading sugar flowers that seemed to dance down its tiers. "Excuse me," the woman said, staring at the cake. "Who made this?" Marcus raised his hand nervously. The woman introduced herself as Victoria Bennett, owner of the city's most prestigious culinary school. "I've never seen work like this from someone so young," she said, examining the sugar flowers closely. Victoria pulled out her phone and showed them a photo that made Marcus gasp. It was his grandmother, decades younger, standing in a professional kitchen. "Catherine Williams was one of our finest graduates," Victoria explained. "She was meant to lead our pastry program before her illness took her away too soon." The revelation created a new connection between past and present. Victoria offered Marcus a full scholarship to her school's summer program, seeing in him the same spark his grandmother had possessed. But Marcus had one condition. "I'll only accept if I can still work with Emma. She believed in me when nobody else did." The bakery transformed with the energy of new possibilities. Emma hired 2 more assistants to handle the increasing orders. The Johnsons helped organize baking workshops for foster kids, creating a space where other young people could discover their own talents. Marcus's story spread through the community. Other business owners began offering apprenticeships to foster youth, inspired by what they saw happening at the bakery. The local community college partnered with Victoria's school to create a culinary training program for at-risk teens. 1 year after that midnight knock, Emma and Marcus sat in the bakery office, planning the next day's bakes. The account books showed healthy profits, but the real wealth was in the laughter coming from the kitchen, where 3 new apprentices were learning to make bread. "You know what Mr. Sullivan used to say?" Emma asked, watching Marcus teach a young girl how to pipe frosting. "He said a bakery isn't just about feeding bodies, it's about feeding souls." Marcus nodded, adjusting the girl's grip on the piping bag. "Like you did for me that night," he said quietly. The bakery's new sign reads, "The Midnight Bakery, where second chances rise." Every morning, the smell of fresh bread fills the street, drawing people in not just for food, but for the warmth of belonging. Emma and Marcus continue their tradition of keeping the light on late, knowing that sometimes hope arrives at midnight, asking for nothing more than a chance to rise. Their story teaches us that the most beautiful creations often come from moments of kindness, when we choose to open a door instead of turning away. Like the best recipes, success requires both skill and heart, measured in equal portions, and shared generously with others. Loved this story? Tap that like button and subscribe to my channel. Share in the comments. What small act of kindness changed your life?